He was the most powerful man on earth, the Emperor of Rome, the ruler of an empire that stretched across the known world, and the commander of armies feared by millions. Yet power did not protect him. He was betrayed by those he trusted, surrounded by endless war, and forced to make impossible decisions every single day. He watched his children die one after another and lived his entire life with a body weakened by illness and constant pain. Most men would have collapsed under this weight. Most men would have become bitter, cruel, or consumed by despair. But Marcus Aurelius chose a different path. While chaos ruled the outside world, he turned inward and mastered the one battlefield that no enemy could reach his mind. He understood that suffering does not come from events themselves, but from how we judge them. He learned that you do not become undefeatable by controlling people, outcomes, or circumstances. You become undefeatable by controlling your thoughts, your actions, and your character. This is the essence of Stoicism, a philosophy forged in war loss and uncertainty. A mindset that teaches you to remain calm in chaos, disciplined under pressure, and steady in the face of pain. Master your mind and no force on earth can truly defeat you. Part 1. The Storm. Marcus Aurelius' reality. Marcus Aurelius did not live a peaceful life. He lived inside a storm that never stopped. Imagine ruling the most powerful empire on earth while knowing that at any moment enemies waited beyond the borders. Traitors whispered inside the palace and disease spread through cities faster than orders could travel. During his reign, Rome faced continuous wars on the Danube frontier, political conspiracies at home, and the Antonine Plague, which killed an estimated 5 million people, nearly 10% of the empire. On top of this, Marcus lost at least 8 of his children before they reached adulthood. This was not a philosopher's fantasy life. This was pressure that would crush most human beings. Pause for a moment. Take a breath. Say this with me. Pressure reveals character. Most men would collapse under this weight. History proves it. Roman emperors before Marcus often turned paranoid, violent, or insane. Some executed friends. Some burned cities. Some drowned themselves in excess. But Marcus Aurelius did something radically different. At night, when the noise of the empire faded, he sat alone in his tent or palace chamber and wrote private notes to himself. Not speeches, not laws, not propaganda, reminders, warnings, mental training. Those notes became what we now call meditations. And here is the shocking truth: Marcus never intended anyone to read them. They were not written for fame, not for philosophy students, not for history. They were written so he could survive mentally. He wrote to remind himself how to remain calm when everything screamed chaos, how to remain just when power tempted corruption, how to remain human when suffering tried to harden his soul. Marcus once wrote, "Do not be overheard complaining, not even to yourself." Think about that. No social media, no therapy sessions, no sympathy, just discipline of thought. Modern psychology confirms what Marcus practiced instinctively. Studies show that chronic rumination increases stress hormones like cortisol by over 30%. Marcus was training his mind centuries before neuroscience existed. Another pause. Breathe. Say it with me. The storm is not my enemy. This is where Stoicism begins, not in comfort, but in chaos. Not in theory, but in survival. Marcus understood something most people never do. Life does not become easier when you gain power. It becomes heavier. And if your mind is weak, power will destroy you. And this leads us to the first Stoic rule that made Marcus Aurelius unbreakable. The rule that decides whether pressure will crush you or forge you into something stronger. That rule is control, and we explore it next. Part 2. Stoic Rule 1. Control what you can. Here is the first rule that made Marcus Aurelius undefeatable: control what you can and release what you cannot. This rule sounds simple, but it is brutal to apply. Most people destroy themselves fighting battles they were never meant to win. Marcus Aurelius saw this clearly, and he wrote one of the most powerful lines in human history. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Say it with me: I control my response. Marcus ruled during wars he did not choose, plagues he could not stop, and betrayals he could not prevent. If he tied his peace to outcomes, he would have lived in constant misery. Instead, he separated life into two categories: what depends on me and what does not. This idea later became the foundation of Stoicism and is now supported by modern psychology. Studies on stress show that people who focus on controllable actions experience up to 40% lower anxiety than those obsessed with outcomes. Wars happen. People betray you. Life is unfair. This is not pessimism, it is realism. The Stoics believed clarity is power. Marcus wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, events are neutral. Meaning is optional. Reset with me. Breathe. Say it again. Events are neutral. My judgment is not. Here's the practical breakdown Marcus lived by. You cannot control people, their loyalty, emotions, or decisions. You cannot control outcomes, success, failure, timing. You cannot control the past. Regret will never rewrite it. But you can control your judgment. You can control your actions, and you can control your character. That is where true power lives. Marcus knew something most leaders never learn. Emotional reactions feel natural, but they are expensive. Anger clouds judgment. Fear weakens resolve. Complaining drains energy. Modern data confirms this. Research from Harvard shows emotional reactivity reduces decision-making accuracy by over 30%. Marcus trained himself daily not to react but to respond. Here is a Stoic exercise you can apply today, practiced by Marcus himself. When something goes wrong, silently say, "This is outside my control." Then immediately ask, "What is the best response available to me right now?" Write it down, act on it. This single habit can change your life within weeks. Marcus Aurelius did not try to control the world. He controlled the only thing that truly mattered: himself. And that discipline became armor no enemy could pierce. But control alone is not enough, because even when you master your reactions, pain will still come. Loss will still arrive. And that leads us to the second Stoic rule, how Marcus learned to turn pain itself into power. And that is where Stoicism becomes dangerous. Part 3, Stoic Rule 2, turn pain into power. Pain was not something Marcus Aurelius tried to escape. He did not numb it, distract himself from it, or pretend it wasn't there. He faced it directly. And this is where Stoicism separates the strong from the weak. Most people spend their lives running from pain. Marcus learned to use it. He wrote a sentence that still shocks people 2,000 years later. What stands in the way becomes the way. Pause here. Take a breath. Say it with me: pain is training. Marcus Aurelius lived in constant discomfort. He suffered from chronic illness, likely severe stomach disease, headaches, and physical weakness. Yet he led armies on horseback, slept in cold military camps, and made life or death decisions daily. Pain was not an exception in his life, it was the baseline. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Marcus asked a far more powerful question: "What virtue is this situation demanding from me?" Every obstacle became a gym for the soul. Insults trained patience. Loss trained acceptance. Fear trained courage. Betrayal trained justice. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Modern neuroscience now supports this Stoic insight. Research shows that people who reframe pain as growth experience significantly higher resilience and faster emotional recovery. Reset with me. Breathe. Say it again. Pain is the path. Most people turn pain into weakness. They complain. They numb themselves with distractions. They collapse inward. Marcus did the opposite. He turned pain into discipline. When insulted, he practiced restraint instead of revenge. When overwhelmed, he practiced focus instead of panic. When afraid, he practiced courage instead of avoidance. This is why Stoicism does not promise happiness, it promises strength. Here is a practical Stoic exercise you can apply immediately. When pain appears emotional or physical, do not label it as bad. Label it as training. Ask yourself 3 questions. What part of my character is being tested? What would the strongest version of myself do right now? And how can this experience improve me rather than weaken me? Write the answers down. This practice rewires how your brain interprets suffering. Marcus understood something brutal, but freeing pain is unavoidable, but weakness is optional. Statistics back this up. Studies show that avoidance-based coping increases anxiety and depression, while acceptance-based coping improves resilience by over 35%. Marcus practiced acceptance long before the data existed. Another breath. Say it slowly, I grow through resistance. This rule turning pain into power is what makes Stoicism dangerous. Because once pain no longer controls you, threats lose their power. Insults lose their sting. Fear loses its grip. But there is one force even deeper than pain. One truth that dissolves fear completely, and that truth is mortality. In the next part, Marcus Aurelius shows us how remembering death can make you completely free. Part 4, Stoic Rule 3. You will die. Use that power. Marcus Aurelius thought about death every single day, not because he was morbid, not because he was depressed, but because he understood a truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Death is not the enemy, forgetting death is. The Stoics believed that remembering your mortality does not weaken you, it sharpens you. Marcus wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Pause here. Take a breath. Say it with me, I am mortal, and that is my power. Marcus lived in a time when death was always close. Wars claimed thousands overnight. Plagues wiped out entire cities. Child mortality rates were brutally high. Historians estimate that nearly half of all children in the Roman Empire died before adulthood. Marcus buried many of his own children. Death was not an abstract concept. It was present, constant, unavoidable. And instead of turning away from it, Marcus turned toward it. Most people live as if time is infinite. They delay their dreams. They tolerate toxic situations. They remain silent when they should speak. Marcus refused this illusion. He used death as a focusing tool, a mental blade that cut away nonsense. He wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live." Every day he reminded himself, this moment matters. Reset with me. Breathe. Say it slowly, this moment matters. Modern research supports this ancient wisdom. Studies on mortality awareness show that people who reflect on their finite time are more likely to act with purpose, integrity, and courage. When you remember that life is short, fear loses its leverage. Opinions lose their weight. Excuses lose their power. Marcus understood that fear of death is the root of many weaknesses. Remove that fear, and the mind becomes free. This is why Stoicism does not promise comfort. It promises clarity. Marcus practiced memento mori. Remember you will die, not to darken his life, but to illuminate it. When insulted, he asked, will this matter when I'm gone? When tempted by ego, he asked, will this endure beyond my breath? Most of the time, the answer was no. Here is a Stoic exercise Marcus lived by, and you can apply today. Each morning, remind yourself, I may not see tonight. Then ask, how would I act today if this were my last chance to live with honor? And each night, review your actions. Did you waste time? Did you act with courage? Did you live according to your values? This practice builds urgency without panic. Another breath. Say it with me. Death clarifies my life. Marcus Aurelius became fearless, not because he sought danger, but because he accepted the ultimate truth. Once death is accepted, nothing else can truly threaten you. And when fear dissolves, something powerful remains: discipline, clarity, and inner sovereignty. In the final part, we will see how all these rules combine to make Marcus Aurelius truly unbreakable. Part 5, why Marcus Aurelius was unbreakable. So why was Marcus Aurelius truly unbreakable? Not unstoppable, not invincible, but unbreakable. The answer is not found in his crown, his armies, or his empire. Those things were temporary. The answer is found in how he lived every single day. Marcus expected hardship. He was never shocked by difficulty. While most people ask, why is this happening to me? Marcus asked, why would I expect anything else? Pause here. Take a breath. Say it with me. Hardship is normal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, begin the morning by saying to yourself, I shall meet with busybody, ingratitude, arrogance, deceit, envy, and selfishness. Think about that. He did not wake up hoping for a perfect day. He prepared his mind for reality. Modern psychology calls this negative visualization. Studies show that mentally preparing for difficulty reduces emotional shock and increases resilience by over 25%. Marcus practiced it 2,000 years ago. He mastered his inner dialogue. This is critical. Marcus understood that the voice in your head is either your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. He wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He did not allow his mind to run wild with fear, anger, or self-pity. He trained it daily, deliberately, relentlessly. Reset with me. Breathe. Say it slowly. My thoughts shape my life. Marcus accepted reality without complaint. This does not mean he liked everything that happened. It means he stopped arguing with what already existed. Complaining, he knew, changes nothing but weakens the mind. Research supports this. Habitual complaining increases stress hormones and reinforces helplessness. Marcus chose discipline over drama. He acted with reason, not emotion. When insulted, he paused. When angry, he delayed. When tempted by ego, he reminded himself of impermanence. This is why his enemies could attack his body and life could attack his comfort, but his mind remained sovereign. As Epictetus, another Stoic master, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Here is a final Stoic practice you can apply starting today. Each evening, ask yourself 3 questions Marcus lived by. What did I do well today? Where did I fail to act according to my values? And what will I do better tomorrow? Write the answers down. This habit alone can transform your character over time. Marcus Aurelius did not seek greatness. He sought alignment between thought, action, and character, and that alignment made him unbreakable, not because life was gentle, but because his mind was strong. Remember this: Stoicism does not make you emotionless. It makes you unshakable. You will feel pain. You will face loss. You will be tested, but you do not have to be defeated. If this philosophy resonated with you, return to it. Rewatch it, practice it, share it. And if you want to continue training your mind, subscribe to this channel, because in a chaotic world, the greatest rebellion is self-mastery. And remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If this mindset resonated with you like this video, it helps this message reach others who need it. Subscribe to the channel Making Life Better for more Stoic wisdom, mental strength, and self-mastery. Share this with someone who is facing pressure and needs to become unbreakable. And now do one final thing. Go to the comments and type one word: unbreakable. Say it with intention, because what you declare, you begin to become. And remember, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius.